So my name is Sophie and this is my portfolio video. I'm sorry, I'm going to be kind of awkward, but I just want to preface this by saying that I know I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am now. I never had to work for my family to support them, and I was able to completely focus on my academics and activities. I also know having a fine arts major related career is also something that's a privilege to have. I just want to say that I am aware that that is also something some people can't afford to do. So I just want to start off the video by saying that I'm a design major, and I always wanted to be one since I was in freshman year. I actually, since I was little, always liked doing art as a kid. I actually kind of just drew by myself, and then when I realized I wanted to go into, or could possibly go into, arts related major in my freshman year, that's when I went to an art studio when I was in my freshman year to learn more about realism and the technical skills. So in my portfolio you will see some realistic paintings or drawings I've done, and those are kind of things I've done in the studio. So I just want to say that a lot of my works also, you don't really need an art studio. I was really lucky to have one near me, but you can also learn a lot about realism from online, and a lot of my works were things I could do at home. Here is some schools I applied to and the results. Here is my overall profile, which has basically my grades and my activities and all that I put on the Common app, so that the general admissions person can see what type of student I was outside of my portfolio. I want to say that a lot of schools, some schools focus more on other things than others, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't really take it personally if a school rejected you just because you think they're not good enough. They could also just be because of fit. So I know for our art schools, you don't need to be very super academic in studying. I think for art schools, the ones I applied to, Parsons, Mica, and RISD, I think they're very focused on your portfolio. So if you want to go into those schools, make sure you put your all into the portfolio. For the other schools that have general admissions stuff, I would recommend focusing a little bit more on your grades and academics, because they're more general universities. They have specific base requirement classes that you have to take for your major, even if you're just an arts major as well. So because of that, they also expect you to be able to fit with their student body. So I guess I would focus more on that. I'm not sure for other majors, but I know for design specifically, design is kind of I think what I've seen online, some schools do expect more of them. They expect them to be a little bit more academic driven, so I did do a lot of activities to try to gain experience from that. Basically, the takeaway is that you don't have to do everything that overwhelms you, but I do think that you can focus on certain areas depending on each school, because each school is different when they look into things. So I would really recommend to at least look into the general applicant pool, or I learned a lot from looking at other videos and seeing what they've also done, or what the admissions people have said about what to focus on. So I would definitely focus on that. So before I go into the actual portfolio, which is the images that I submitted, I want to actually emphasize on portfolio planning, which I think isn't really talked about as much, but I personally think it's super important. It helped me a lot with mine. For my portfolio, you begin to see others and you're trying to find out how to start. It's kind of overwhelming because a lot of portfolios require 15 to 20 images to submit, and that's a pretty big number for the work that you have to do, especially when in your early high school years. So I would recommend at least having a clear idea of what direction you would want to go with your portfolio. So that means what kind of concepts, what kind of themes you would want to address. For my portfolio, I kind of focus on my strengths, which was I personally think was color and form. And for the portfolio planning, I think it's very, 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 very important to have your personal voice show through. So that means your interests or like what makes you unique as an artist or creative person. I think I went to National Portfolio Day, which is a free event that people can go to. And I also did this free portfolio service that allows any schools that are like partnered with it to give you critiques. So I asked RISD and they basically emphasize a lot on experimentation, which I think goes for most schools. I think a lot of people are interested in what you have to say or what's unconventional. So experimentation can range from concept to the materials you've used. So for my experimentation, you'll see that I tried to like change up the type of medium that I did, or kind of try to convey like things through different materials. I think I also like try to go out of my comfort zone. I think a lot of people are worried that like their creativity or like their ideas might override technical skill. I think both are important if you can include it in a portfolio, but at the end of the day, I think I would opt more for creativity than your technical skill. I wouldn't be scared of showing what kind of ideas you have that kind of goes out of your norm. Okay, so we can get to the portfolio part now. I'm gonna do a quick flash of what the admissions people had seen as their first impression. It was actually one of the, like, I think my second or third still life that I've done. But I think this did turn out well. It did show that I had like technical skill, and I also think it showed how like there's still like graphical elements in this where like I set up the still life myself, so you can see how like the red contrasts with the black and white, and how like the shadows create this like cool little like line effect, as you can see from like the bottom of like the thing, and like the bottom of the box, and like the side, and like the other side. And you can see my description to the side, like to the right of the box, of how I tried to frame it. So yeah, this is the first piece. The second piece, I also grouped a still life I've done, and this one shows like a progression of how I used color. One shows that I have like an eye for color because I did saturate it a lot compared to the original still life. So this is the second piece. So my third piece here is a AR technology on a still life I did. So I basically combined my knowledge from fine arts, and I combined it with like more recent technology in order to make like some kind of commentary. And basically for this piece, I wanted to talk about how like people's sense of self, or like our bodies, like judged upon in like a digital space. So I said here that like the digital world, or like an online space, has basically warped our perception of our own selves and can blur the boundary between the real world and like what's not the real world and what's not real. So, and I kind of like play that message by having like AR technology kind of like interfere with my real life surroundings. So yeah, that's basically what I tried to accomplish. For this, I wanted to show my process behind the other piece, because I think it had like a lot of elements that could be talked about. I can scroll down here to show you like the full description if you guys want to read it all the way, but basically I think it's important to show your thought process, because a lot of people at admissions care about how you think as well as the final product. So I included the still life that I completed, and like the little assets that I made, and then like the brainstorming process I had. So I basically experimented with a lot of like digital art techniques in order to create the effect of like, you know, technology or whatever. I included my sketchbook here. This is a sketchbook I made so that I can submit it to admissions. My sketchbook does not look like this normally, but you can see that I like experimented with like different markers and like color, specifically color. You'll see a lot of color because that's what I wanted to focus on. So here's like images I took from vacation and I put them to show how I have like an okay sense of color, and perspective drawings and like figures to show that I have an idea formed. The collage at the bottom is kind of more like a, I don't know, it's kind of like a more she's not like the other girls kind of vibe. So yeah. Here is so from here on out, this is when I start to get more bold with what I wanted to do. In the yellow bathroom is more of like a personal piece I had rather than a general critique, which was about my struggles with body image. In my house, we have like a yellow bathroom, and basically whenever I looked at my body, I always see the yellow hue of my bathroom walls reflecting over me, so I kind of associate that bathroom with my insecurities. So I wanted to convey that through this, and you can see how like the painting is less refined. To do ballerina, I use ballerina like the nylon fiber, like the tutu fabric, to rip apart and like kind of construe the image. I think that kind of plays a part because when I was in ballet class, I used to feel very insecure because I was kind of chubby and a lot of the girls around me were very skinny, or kind of fit the standard of what a ballerina should look like. You can see I put charcoal drawings on the side to kind of present the fixation I had on different parts of my body. So my insecurities, I was kind of insecure about like my stomach sticking out or my thighs. And the rich string that's like connecting everything is supposed to be like kind of like a representation of how erratic your mind feels when you're trying so hard to piece something together. So yeah, this is one of the more creative pieces, I think, or more experimental pieces that I've had. This one is an acrylic drawing I've done of my sister and I on vacation. This one didn't really have any deep meaning that I put. It's like kind of like a fun little color thing, although it does look more depressing than the actual message is. I think it like my face that I drew, but I think it's like the use of color and messy strokes, I think kind of adds a sense of playfulness. So I just included that for that, and I also worked a long time on it. So I just wanted to put it in. Piece here is a digital arts piece because I like doing digital art, and so I wanted to show that I developed that skill. And I also played around with color, surprise, here again, and I kind of tried to like stylize the digital art piece so that way the people who view it can see that I didn't really wanted to copy it from the photo directly. So I did add a lot of stylistic elements to here. So yeah. Here, this piece is one of the more prominent design pieces I have. This is a poster style piece that's basically talking about like, people's relationships to love and yearning for connection. So I had like a praying mantis, a flipped praying mantis, symbolizing how like normally they eat their prey. Like, you know how like when praying mantises, like after they mate, they like eat their mate after. It's kind of showing like, and like there's like Venus flytraps. I kind of want to show there's a sense of like danger underneath the image, even if it's two people hugging. So I wanted to show the nuance of like how like people's relationships to each other can sometimes become very dependent, and how they like, you know, like have attachment issues. I don't know, I'm not explaining it well, but it does make sense in my head. But yeah, that's basically what I try to convey with this piece. I then put another poster piece next to this one, and this one is more about how my feelings of homesickness, because college was approaching, and I did most of these portfolio pieces over the summer before my senior year. So for me personally, I'm a very like physical person where like I need my physical surroundings to be the same, otherwise I kind of feel a little bit uneasy. So I do get homesick easily because I don't have this sense of familiarity. So I try to convey that with this poster. This poster here has like, it's like a quote, and then I had like a lone house and I collaged some hills, and like some fish, and I tried to make like the other first still life piece, I tried to make the blue and black and white contrast each other and to make it stand out. So like I wanted to invoke a sense of loneliness and like solitary, you know, like kind of feeling to have to it. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to try to do with this piece. My next piece here is a product design piece that I made. I want to go into like communications or graphic design, so product design isn't a track I was planning to pursue, but I do know for a lot of first year design majors, they still have to take a foundational course where they have to do like a lot of other stuff. So I decided to make it to show that I can do the stuff that they teach in classes. I basically try to like also show my values because I like the environment, and so I try to advocate for climate change. In this product design piece, on the sides, I advertise like the facts about using wasteful products. So I try to advertise like a eco-friendly soap that has all biodegradable and is like palm oil free and doesn't have any of the harmful stuff that's usually in regular traditional soaps. So yeah, I try to incorporate some of my interests or values into design work. So yeah. So here is a kind of also a product design piece, but also combines digital art. This is a mock-up of a book cover redesign for the Joy Luck Club. I tried to use like a style for this piece. Personally for me, I felt like the book's title didn't really invoke the message of the Joy Luck Club, so I chose that book for that reason. So basically I chose like the beginning scene of the book where all the like guys are at the table, at the mahjong table, and I kind of viewed that as like a generational thing. So I used that, and I used like the title, like the mahjong tiles as like the letter holders. I also made this into the Art Deco style. The style started to get popular when the older woman immigrated to America. So that's basically why I chose that kind of style, or like that's the style I tried to do. Yeah, that's what I did for this one. Oh, I also tried to focus on color. This one is a poetry book. So I actually do like reading, so this is why there's so many there's like two literature related things. This is by a Chinese American poet, and what they do is that they talk about how their mother, when they sing to them, they reminisced about their childhood back in their own home country. And I try to use simplified colors because I tend to go a little bit overboard with like adding colors in. So this was a challenge that I tried to do, where I tried to make a more minimalistic style, and I basically tried to like create simple images that have like a sense of nostalgia. I tried to use the colors green, orange, and blue, and that was kind of challenging though because it was like hard to see like which like color would make it stand out but also like have it make sense. I do think that like the smoky effect that I did throughout the pages kind of makes it a little bit too busy, but I do think it connects. But I try to make like a connector so that it flows through the accordion style like book. So I made like a river to try to like, because I use a lot of water imagery here, because in the poem they talk about the rain and how water is kind of like the overarching metaphor behind the piece. So I did incorporate that into the thing, and I tried to make the gestures more subtle. Here is an app design that I made because I actually am interested in like UI UX design. So I did this through Figma, like the app interface design. I'm 99% sure I did not use it correctly, but it still counts for something. So yeah, I think the like this page here, like the part where I show like the actual device itself is not functional at all. I don't think it's like, but I was tired, okay? Basically, this app, it kind of like so incorporates a little bit of my personal struggles because again, with the body, I know I talk a lot about body image and it's kind of like a conventional theme, but I do think it's important to convey it through like a, even if it's like common, it's still you know? So I try to make an app that addresses that kind of problem. So it's like a problem that's like personal to me. And so what I did here was made an app that tracks your nutritional value, but through a more sustainable way. Because when I used to do, don't do this, but I used to track my calories and through an app, and it was very like harsh. They were basically like, oh, you're over this limit, like, you know, don't eat that. And I didn't really like that, and it felt isolating too because I felt like I couldn't open up to anyone in real life about this kind of thing. So I made an app that's supposed to act like a interactive community where people with similar goals can reach out to each other, and there's more of a sense of community, like how there's more posts and how there's like more of available messaging, because with my app they didn't really make messaging or community posts like a huge deal there, so I try to make that more of like a important thing. Another thing I did was also have reliable sources be a important part of the app, so like a person can also get their informational needs through this app instead of having misinformation online and like, you know how the internet works. But yeah, this is also, UT Austin requires you to only submit one design work, and this is the design work I made. They also required you to make a behind the scenes video. Obviously, I'm not going to show my behind the scenes video because it's kind of embarrassing to show my voiceover was not good, but I basically just had like a time lapse of me creating this, like a drafting on it on Procreate, and then having the final product be like made. So that's basically what I did. This is my UT Austin piece. I also know for WashU and CMU or Carnegie Mellon, they require you to make like a video about yourself. I did do those, but I'm not going to show that as well because that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing, but I don't need to have, I'm like proof that you don't need to have a good video for that. That was like, it was not good. Like, I don't, like, that's not me being humble. It just wasn't good because I was basically like, oh, I like art and I like baking and I like nature and Doja Cat. So for those video portions, don't be nervous to just like talk about your interests. I think they just want to know about your vibes, like as a person. And I also did not look good in that video. Like I look like I just woke up, which I did, but yeah. So this one is kind of one of my favorite pieces. I mean, I know it's not like the most wowy one out there, but I like it. It's like very, I don't know. This one is the one where I try to go out of my comfort zone and make a 3D piece. There's no deep meaning behind this piece, but I basically saw online how like this artist made these like little creations through like transparent paper. So I used cellophane paper for this, and I used watercolor, and I kind of like manipulate the shapes so they create unique forms. And I don't know, I kind of like this. It kind of made my like brain think in different ways of like, oh, how can I make it look like this through a 3D means? So yeah, this is just me experimenting with form, but in the 3D sense and with like little things. Okay, so this is the prequel to the piece I'm going to show you next. But basically, We Still Try is an acrylic piece I made. It's really small. It's like, I have it right here. It's like basically like the size of this board that I used. So We Still Try is basically a representation of my fear of the unknown. As you can tell from this video, I look like a very anxious person because I am. I'm a very like anxious person where like I always worry about the future. I always worry about the unknown. I always want to like know what's happening to me, even if it's bad. I just want to know. That's why I hate tests, because when there's a test, you don't know what's gonna happen on it. So I sometimes always don't check it because I don't like it. So basically this is like showing like how like even with my fear of the unknown, time still exists and we still have to live with like the laws of the universe. So I try to convey that through like a microscopic level. This is also the first time I try to do an abstract piece 2D only. Actually, no, that's a lie. But this is like an abstract piece that I did through painting, and I tried to like do it in like a different abstract way where I just use like shapes and stuff instead of digital art and like the other stuff I did. Yeah. And I also try to make them look like microorganisms, so it's kind of like on a small scale. So it makes sense with the next piece, which is this one, which is like how the previous one was a small scale, this one's a bigger scale. And entropy is basically a sequel to the other one where it's like my fear of the unknown can also turn into something more positive instead. Because in entropy, I showed how like the chaos of the universe is still like the chaos of the universe and its fragments can create something new or a new opportunity or something like you've never realized before. So here I had like the galaxy, which contrasts with the previous piece, which was microscopic level. This one's like the cosmos, like the bigger scale. And I made fragments because this was my teacher at the art studio suggestion. He suggested that I make like mirror fragments out of this. So that's what I did. I made mirror fragments and I basically tried to make it like the laws of entropy kind of like still dictate our surroundings if we want it or not. So yeah, it's kind of positive if you think about it that way. You can see how I lift to create depth. I created like little cardboard lifters so I can lift some fragments to add some depth. So that's what I did. This is the last piece finally. This is called Pseudopulse, and this is a piece that's like this one's also one that I kind of went out of my comfort zone in because again it's 3D. And I also was not sure if this idea would work, but I think it turned out all right. This one is basically like, because it's COVID, I think online I saw a rise of like people getting attached to online figures, like celebrities or like YouTubers and stuff. I think it was like, because I'm like online a lot, so to me I felt kind of like weird with it because it was like, it's kind of like, I think a shift that maybe the older generation might not get as much. And I think this was a topic that's not been addressed as often as other artworks I've seen. So I wanted to address this topic, and basically Pseudopulse is a kind of commentary on people's attachment to things that don't really like to online figures, and how like that kind of messes up our sense of boundaries and our sense of like relationships. A lot of my pieces talk about relationships because I'm actually pretty interested in like how people interact with others and how that kind of affects our own worldviews. I included my process along with the final piece because I don't know, I guess I was lazy, but Pseudopulse here has, what I did was I used plastic and I used fire and I basically warped the plastic to make a portal. And with this portal, I wanted to show how like through the heart, how it's like kind of like messed up and stuff and warped. I kind of want to show how like it kind of like obscures our vision. So that's what I try to do. Also, it kind of adds this tone of like something's wrong. And in the center of that piece, the heart, I made different layers. Like down here, I made the bottom layer and then the top layer and then the third layer to show like some like kind of like depth. And also it kind of looks cool. The red paper itself is actually, I didn't expect this to work out so well. It's actually celebrities. Like I used the Instagram posts of celebrities in their intimate moments, like such as like someone posing with their family, or like instead of a photo shoot, it's them posing at their home. And I basically in Procreate turned that, like scaled that into all red, and I basically collaged it onto here so that it's like a subtle way of like showing how the heart Pseudopulse is artificial. I also added string a little bit to kind of, because I felt like I was kind of missing like something, so it kind of like emphasized like the gory feel of it. So yeah, that's what I did for the final piece. And I think that's it. I don't think I did like a super good job of like explaining everything, but hopefully my descriptions kind of helped of what I was trying to explain. Yeah, that's like the overview of my portfolio. So with my closing statement, I have my notes. My closing statement is I'm going to talk about basically my own personal experiences. This is going to be short, but like my own personal experiences with making it, and like basically some advice that isn't portfolio specific, such as like this application process. I just want to say my mental health was not good. Not good at all when I was making a portfolio. Like the past summer, I was like basically like sleep, wake up, study for the SAT because I'm an idiot because I retook it in my senior year. I slept, woke up, studied for the SAT, did my portfolio, went to sleep. I did that for like 3 months straight. I barely hung out with my friends, and it was like the most miserable time of my life. So basically, don't do what I did. Try to like finish some parts. The reason why that I waited so long to finish my portfolio was because I was like really insecure. My pieces weren't really good, and I was getting really frustrated and worried about like rejection and stuff. So I like basically like try to scrap everything and like try to redo everything. It was like a mess. So don't do what I did if you can. In regards to dream schools and the application process, I think, okay, I'm gonna be honest, I was really lucky, like super lucky to get into my dream school, which was Carnegie. That was my top school. I actually early decisioned there and I got deferred, and would think Carnegie was like my #1 choice since I was in like sophomore year, and that's pretty long. I was expecting to at least feel like really, really sad, but honestly when I got deferred, I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, it's like it couldn't be helped anyways. But I did get accepted eventually, and I am going there. But then again, I do want to say that I think it's okay to have a school you're aiming for. I think I only aimed for Carnegie because it was like, to me, it was a very like top school. And I think like if I aim for that, then I could get in somewhere else. So that's what I want to advise. I don't think you should have a do or die school. I don't think that's like wise at all. It's not good, and it kind of like messes with your idea of like your worth. So I would suggest exploring different schools, going to different like events, like fortunate enough to go to National Portfolio Day and talk to different schools and like feel more welcome there. At National Portfolio Day, I actually talked to the head of admissions guy for Parsons, and he was really nice. He basically was like, he was hyping me up, and he was basically telling me that my portfolio was really good and like to contact him when I do apply. So I thought that was like a really nice thing. And also I actually liked Parsons too. So it was kind of nice to know that like at least someone kind of liked my portfolio. But if you don't have that, you can definitely go look at other schools, like Instagram accounts, or like talk to other students and see what their kind of like experiences, and you will see that like it's not bad. Like it's not, if you go into your not #1 top school, it's not the end of the world. Life moves on. You're still gonna go somewhere and it's still gonna be okay. Like it's honestly not that different probably. So yeah. Also back to talking to students, I actually talked to like a lot of people. I was really fortunate enough to have the opportunity to reach out online and also in person because mica is also near us. I talked to a lot of students and how they basically felt like their strengths were and how like their portfolio, and so I was able to like get a lot of feedback on like student life. Even after I got admitted, I think it's important to talk to students and see what it's like. Like on the admitted students day for Carnegie, I went into the design lecture and I asked different concerns I have. So don't be afraid to do that, because that's going to be the place where you're probably or could be living or going to for whatever many years of your life. So I would definitely recommend to just go out of your comfort zone and ask. And finally, I want to say that financial stuff sucks. Unfortunately, this process makes a lot of students realize that money does play a big factor into whether things can be affordable for you or not. I was really lucky where my families were able to work things out, and I also got pretty good aid from most of my schools, so I was able to choose where I could attend to. But I know that's like not a case for a lot of people, so I just want to say that like taking financial stuff into account is also important. I think it's totally fine to apply to schools and see how much aid you get, but I do think talking things over with your family and like seeing where you guys stand to make things more realistic for you when the time comes. So basically that's it. This is basically the portfolio I got. It's actually kind of surreal that I'm making this video because I grew up, like, not really grew up, but like from high school I watched a lot of these videos and I was able to get a lot of information from them. So I want to give back to that to you guys by making this video. Hopefully that was at least some like semi-helpful. I know I look really nervous, but this is how I act most of the time. I'm kind of calmed down now. I was really nervous at the beginning of this video, but this is basically everything. If you need more clarification on something, you can comment or reach out to me and ask. I'd be more than happy to answer if it's within my knowledge. But yeah, that's basically all I have. I'll link the National Portfolio Day website and also the free 5 works review thing that I mentioned in the description. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.